we're now going to go with who is the most overrated Premier League player. I have a few candidates. I'm going to throw straight away a couple of my favourites for this. Ruben Diaz and James Maddison. Ooh, controversial, Will.
Yeah, but you were just talking up Ruben Diaz in the first podcast we did.
No, but I think he's overrated. I think people get lost on this. You can be a good player, but you can be ridiculously overhyped. Like, if you look at some English players, like, I think that, look, for example, I think Declan Rice is brilliant. I think he's a brilliant player, but it's almost like he's perceived to be one of the best players in the world in his position. He's not there yet. He's overhyped. This happens a lot. Jude Bellingham, is he one of the best midfielders in the world? Well,
Yes.
We're about to find out this season, because that's what you do. You go and play for Real Madrid.
Yeah, but surely he is already that player. That's why he's been
Potentially.
taken to Real Madrid.
Potentially, yes.
But just get very protective of Jude Bellingham. That's all I'm saying.
But I think if you say somebody's overrated, it doesn't automatically mean they're crap. Like, you could be a James Maddison who gets spoken like your next Steven Gerrard. Well, that's overrated because you're not.
Yeah, but that's mixed though. I think. Well, do you want to start with James Maddison?
Yeah, I don't think. Look, I was there, and this is a great point, because I was there saying that when the World Cup happened last year, Southgate's got to take Maddison. He was bang in form. He was one of the best attacking midfielders in the country at the time. But is he one of the best attacking midfielders in the country?
Yes.
No, not for me.
Yeah, but
In the Premier League,
his numbers are up there, and even in that Leicester side last season, he was still performing.
I think he could have done more.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think. Look, you know
Yeah, but there was
what?
a lot going wrong at Leicester to put that at the door of James Maddison.
The problem with the modern game is that we didn't used to get.
I played the game.
I've played the game. The problem is that back in my day, you used to get these players that played like, I'm just going to chuck names out like Mark Draper, Jeremy Goss, Rob Lee.
Jeremy Goss has got a mention on 2 back-to-back podcasts.
He's sponsoring the show. There was, Matt Letizia, players like that.
Yeah.
These players were good players at lesser clubs.
Seb Larson's.
Well, this is it. Exactly. He's absolutely perfect. There was a lot of these players that played at the level they were and were very, very... James Ward-Prowse, Southampton. He's perfect. He's a good player at the level he is, but he's never good enough to play for Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea. He's not a first-team player for them, and that's where I put Maddison. I think Maddison is perfect for Spurs. He's a good player, but we've had it with Maddison that he's good enough to play for United. He's not better than Odegaard. He's not better than Bruno. He's not better than De Bruyne, and he's not good enough to play for Liverpool.
Yeah, but he has got a chance to showcase that in a sort of top 6-ish side.
Yeah, and I think that's his level. He's not a bad player. I just think he gets overrated a bit. And as for Ruben Diaz, that was my second choice, potentially, unless I know we've got some more to come in. I don't think Ruben Diaz is as good. He had 1.5 good seasons for Man City, and then he's been good. But people talk about him like he's one of the best centre-backs in the world. I don't think he's in the top 5 centre-backs in the world. And people won't like that, but I don't. I don't think he's the best centre-back at Man City.
One that just sprang into my mind while we were chatting about, and sort of in that James Maddison bracket, is Yuri Tillemans.
Oh.
Where I thought, because there was a lot of rumour obviously going on a free, and he's ended up at Aston Villa, which, I've obviously got, as a Birmingham City fan, my allegiances to the blue side of Birmingham. But I thought he would have kicked on to at least a sort of Tottenham level, especially going as a free agent. But
appalling at Leicester last season as well. I watched a few games and he was absolutely dreadful. And I think that, it's a bit similar to Maddison, both formerly of Leicester, both had a bad season, and a few Chelsea players were like that as well. But I think that he is at a club now at Aston Villa that is expected to do well, so maybe he bounces back. But he was a player that was, people were talking about Bayern Munich and Manchester United, and he's ended up at Aston Villa, and again, probably a little bit overrated.
Another ones we got down here, Jack Grealish. Now, a lot of this comes up, and I think unfairly, because of 2 words, English tax. Because there's a lot of pressure on him as a personality away from football, where there's just more eyes on him for one reason or another. But last season, I think he's in the bracket between overrated and underrated at the moment. I don't think you can put a label on him.
Yeah, I'd agree on that. I think with Grealish, the first season, he wasn't playing much. The second season was the big season. And I think with some people could say Darwin Núñez in this, and I would never throw him in there because he's only had 1 season. I think it's always about season 2. And Grealish showed in season 2 what he's all about. It's like Game of Thrones. I thought first season was good, but the second season was better, Breaking Bad. And I think Jack Grealish did that in second season. And also, I'll never move away from the fact that Jack Grealish at Aston Villa was unbelievable. And everyone knew he was the danger man, and he still delivered. So, yeah, I wouldn't put Grealish in there. You could potentially put a Martinelli. I'm thinking about Arsenal. Maybe Martinelli's a bit overrated as a name. I can't think of anybody. I'm
Gabriel
sure
Jesus. I think there's a lot of eyes on him as sort of a real catalyst for Arsenal, but obviously he's had injury problems. But I do think you tie that into it because that's part of the game.
Martinelli had a good season for Arsenal last year, but I think that the way I look at Arsenal, he'd be a player that if I had 100 million, I'd go and replace. I wouldn't replace Saka. I don't know whether I'd replace Jesus. I can't think. I'm sure you've got someone. I can't think of anyone from Manchester United.
I've got down here. This is just a list that was given to me, but I've got down on here Bruno Fernandes, maybe Marcus Rashford. No,
no. The Marcus Rashford one I can understand because Rashford is I love Rashford. Yeah. But he's a bit of a his game does. There's not a consistency to Rashford yet. Maybe there still will be. He's only in his mid-20s, but like he can be like I said last season. There was a period of time where you sort of look at him and go, he could be a Ballon d'Or contender. Yeah. And people laugh, but he has those moments. But then they laugh because they'll have moments where he doesn't look like a Ballon d'Or contender. So I get it with Rashford, but if he can find that consistency, I think I
think that's what it is, because for me as an outsider, it's almost like he's either a 9 out of 10, but then there's no in between. There's not really many 7s in there. Sometimes it can go down to a 5, 6.
I'll tell you who I think's overrated.
Go on.
Dan Burn.
I will have to really disagree strongly on that.
Well, the fact that when we did that Premier League team of the season and Ben Foster wanted to put him at left back, I mean, look, I think he's done well with the tools he's got, but I don't think he. Especially as a left back.
An attacking, lanky left back is all I've ever been after in my life, and to see that man, take Newcastle to a cup final with. You remember that goal he scored when he curled one in from nearly outside of the box? His dancing alone should put him up in the top bracket. I think Dan Burn severely underrated. Could go to Madrid, in my opinion.
He should have. That would make life complete, wouldn't it? That would be absolutely brilliant. No. So look, I mean, where are we going to go with this?
Well, I think you need to put a nail in the coffin, Mark. This is Mark Goldbridge Saves Football. You need to save us from having this conversation ever again.
This is one of the hardest ones we've done so far, but we're here to say football. I will go with, on this, I'm going to get some critics. I'm going to go with...
It's not like you.
I'm going to go Ruben Diaz.
Wow.
I think he's overrated in the sense that he's a very good centre-back, but he gets held up as one of the world's best centre-backs, and I don't think he is. Hello, I'm Mark Goldbridge, and my new podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football, is out now. Check it out in the video description. We're here to definitively solve all the problems of football. We'll be discussing bad pundits, bad opinions, the lot. Check it out on Spotify or whatever podcast you listen to. Links in the description. You've asked for it. It's out now.